Once they see Bridgerton, the new Netflix original series, I'm sure that ABC executives are going to be slapping themselves for letting Shonda Rhimes get away. Wealth, lust, and betrayal, set in the backdrop of Regency-era England, is seen through the eyes of the powerful Bridgerton family. Shonda Rhimes and ABC had a falling out, and so she took her talent and her production company to Netflix, and now we get shows like Bridgerton. Okay, so I binged this 8-episode series in a day. There's romance, drama, deceit, scandal, and galas. The Bridgertons are wealthy and influential. They attend parties with the Queen of England, and they have more than a handful of kids. I mean, they have children that range from their early 20s into about 8 years old, and there's quite a few of them. The first half of this show is whimsical, lighthearted, witty, and even laugh-out-loud funny. It moves at a pretty quick pace and does a really good job of introducing us to the world that the Bridgertons live in. We get a fair amount of character development also, as well as an introduction to our unseen narrator, Lady Whistledown. She's the author of a tabloid-like printing that has gossip on all the well-to-dos, and she is not afraid to share things that people thought were secret. I want to thank Netflix for allowing me to screen this early, and because of that, I'm definitely going to be staying away from certain areas of the plot and certain plot points, because I think that they would get just too close to spoiling certain things. Now, while the first half of the show moves quickly, the second half really builds in the drama department. We get some real depth to the characters and the relationships, and that's really needed because if this show is going to have legs to it, if it's going to have a longevity, then it can't just be all whimsical and just kind of funny. Otherwise, it just becomes kind of like a sitcom, and it doesn't really go anywhere. And we want this show to go somewhere. And I like how it makes the transition of going from shallow to deep without losing the elements that make it a lot of fun. There is a large cast of characters in this, and some I was really drawn to, even if they weren't the main players. Daphne Bridgerton and Simon Bassett are two of my favorites. I mean, they are pretty much the main characters of this, but they are like oil and water a lot of the time. But it's their timing and their chemistry together that really works and makes them a joy to watch on screen. They strike a deal of sorts to help each other out. They pretend to court. And that is in order to draw out more potential suitors for Daphne and also to keep the desperate mothers of eligible daughters away from Simon. So if all goes according to plan, it's a win-win scenario. Eloise Bridgerton and Penelope Featherington work really well together. I mean, they are fun to watch on screen. They have some funny moments, but they also can get very emotional also. I also loved the Queen and Lady Danbury. They both have this stern quality to them, but I would not want to cross Lady Danbury. She may look and act all proper, but something tells me that she's not afraid to have you kneecapped and then not lose any sleep over it. The dynamics of the elite are very entertaining. We see the competitive nature of getting one's daughter married off. But it's also fun to see the large number of lackluster suitors who come calling. And wow, there are some doozies. Now there's this one family in particular, the Featheringtons, and they're kind of like the rivals to the Bridgertons. And they have 3 daughters, but 2 of the daughters, the 2 older ones, they really remind me of the 2 stepsisters in Cinderella. And man, the fashion choices of that entire family, you might need to scrub your eyes a little bit. I love the visuals of this show. Everything is bright and shiny, and I think only once do we really see the dirty or gritty side of what London could be. They do a great job of showing elegance and opulence, and it just makes me wonder, like, what do these people do? I mean, all we ever see them do is get up in the morning, get dressed, lounge around, maybe go promenade a little bit, and then get dressed again or dressed up even more and go to a ball. I guess it's tough being rich. There are several love stories that wind their way through the show, and each of them brings their own complications and drama, but that's what makes it so much fun to watch. I mean, yeah, it might be a little bit like a soap opera, but I never got the feeling like I was watching something so overly melodramatic. I got a lot of enjoyment out of the show, which I think is what helped me binge it so quickly. I was enthralled in the story and the relationships, and even though some of it might be a little bit predictable, I was still engaged in everything that was going on and wanted to see more. There are also a lot of themes that this show explores. Some are the obvious ones of expectations and family devotion, but there's also pride, greed, addiction, duty, honor. They tackle a lot of these throughout, and it's not just like they take one issue and then deal with that. I mean, there's a lot of themes just going on all at once, and the show does a really good job of addressing them. but I also never got the feeling that it was being preachy at me. It felt natural in its approach on these themes. Now, to go along with the romance in this, there also is a fair amount of sex. And while it's present in the first half, it becomes much more prevalent in the second half. It wasn't out of context and it fit really well with the story, but this may not be something that you want to sit down and watch with the kiddos. I enjoyed the small amount of mystery that surrounds Lady Whistledown and her publication. The knowledge that is possessed is intimate and can be damaging, and it drives a lot of the drama in this. I mean, who is Lady Whistledown? Is she ever going to be unmasked? It just adds a fun element to the show. Season 1 of Bridgerton debuts on December 25th. If you're into period pieces or romances or dramas or even rom-coms, you probably want to put this one on your list because it is fun. But beware, it is an addicting show. And once you start, you may just find yourself watching all 8 episodes back to back. There is sex, nudity, some profanity, and some violence. I give season 1 of Bridgerton 4.5 out of 5 couches. What's a favorite period piece of yours? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.